All right, so day 53 of going through my old journal. The quote for today is, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is courage to continue that counts." And then the question, what does the quote below inspire in you and what emotion does it resonate with? What was the first thing that came to mind when you read it? So if you're following along, go ahead and pause the video and just think about your response to this question, and I'll be on here in a second with what I wrote. Okay, so success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. What emotion does it resonate? Okay. So maybe I was going through something this week. Let's see here. I wrote, there was a somewhat scary thought that if success isn't final, when can I ever relax? I guess I sort of have the view that there are two main types of people, those who lean more optimistic and those who are more pessimistic. I consider myself more of an optimist, so the second part about failure doesn't resonate with me at all. What does it say? Failure is not fatal. I know that failure isn't fatal and you have to keep going, but I struggle with the first part. I mean, I understand that just because a person reaches some level of success, they can generally go further, but at what point is it enough? At what point will a person be fulfilled? What does success even mean? I almost feel like a lot of the optimists may feel better if there were one thing that could be achieved that would denote them as a success. So like if I get my PhD, to some people that would be considered success. But most postdocs are expected to publish and become professors and keep moving up. When can I just be happy with where I'm at? So yeah, I must have been going through some stress with my school or work during this time. And I think even since then, maybe I was already starting to feel this way at this time, but like, I already feel successful. Like I've never really been motivated by like money or like praise. And I actually I don't like being praised for things. Like it makes me feel kind of uncomfortable. I don't take compliments very well. And so I don't know. I guess success like just means just getting by and not being stressed and just, you know, living. And I used to think that like I would constantly have to be moving, constantly have to be doing something, constantly having to reach all these goals and everything. And it's more recently that I'm just like, I never would have thought I would have ended up back in like my childhood home and being happy here. I always thought that I would be one of those that needed to go out and get more and search for more, but I'm just content here. Like I don't feel like I need a super nice home. As long as I have like a roof over my head and all the things that I need just to be relatively happy. Like I don't care about how it looks to other people. I remember when I first moved in here, you know, I've been living in an apartment before, and so all of the maintenance and all of the like yard work and all the stuff was taken care of through the apartment. And then I started, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to like mow the grass every week. I don't want the neighbors to like think I'm just, you know, a slob or whatever. And like this year, I haven't even mowed the grass. I think my roommate went out and mowed it once, but because I just started thinking, I'm like, do I have to mow the grass? Like what will happen if I don't? It started out with raking leaves because my grandpa used to always rake leaves. And like last year I was just like, do I have to rake leaves? Like, is it then there's so many pine trees, so many pine needles, and he would just burn them. And I'm like, is that even a good thing to like rake up leaves into a pile and burn it? Like, why can't I just leave it on the ground? And I did some Googling, and apparently, like, it's fine to leave it on the ground. Maybe better to, like, mulch them, like, drive the lawnmower over them. But yeah, so I didn't start it out with not raking. And then I was like, well, I mean, I don't live in a city limits where mowing is required. So I was like, why do I need to mow? And I had the same view, like, I think a lot of people see material possessions, and that indicates, you know, some level of success. So I think I've mentioned I drove like an older car for a while. It was like a 2006, and I loved that car. I liked it, and I had gotten in an accident that wasn't my fault, but it took the front bumper off. And at first I was a little bit like embarrassed driving around without a front bumper, but at the same time I was like, my car is already older, it's got over 200,000 miles on it. The money I would spend like getting the bumper put back on, I talked to a mechanic and he's like, well, I mean, you don't technically like need the bumper. And so I drove around for like 2 or 3 years with like my front bumper missing, and I think I may have gotten like judged for that by people. And so I was kind of like worried about it for a while, like, oh, what will people think? But then I was like, you know what? I don't care. You know, I got the insurance money and I put it toward my student loans, and that felt like a better decision for me. And I didn't really care about what people thought. And I'm kind of the same way with the house. Like, I've never really, when I was living in apartments, I would pretty much stay in my bedroom. And so, like, I knew some people that would move into their college apartments and, like, spend all this money furnishing it with, like, a couch and, like, all this furniture and all these decorations and stuff. And I'm like, I just need a bed and, you know, just minimal furnishings, because I didn't want to, like, have to move. I was going to have to move out at some point. I didn't really have, like, people over. And so I just never ended up furnishing any of the places that I stayed very much. And it's the same way here. Like, I have a whole house that I could furnish, and I've just never furnished it. And except for my room, obviously I have a ton of stuff in here. But yeah, I just don't feel the need. And like, if people come over and they think I'm weird, I'm like, whatever. Like, I don't feel like I need all this stuff. I don't feel like I need to set like the stage to show that I'm successful, you know. I guess I don't really care. But I'm torn, because there is that, like, because other people do care about those kind of like superficial things, they treat you differently. And so you kind of want to be treated well by other people. But I don't know, I'm not around other people that much, so it doesn't really matter to me. I used to be stressed about like not having an presentable house or whatever, or car or clothes or anything, but now I just don't care that much. I feel like I have enough money to get by, to be happy, that I don't really care that much about too much else. The only thing I'm a little stressed about is like, I'm kind of expected to do, like, it's the beginning of the school year, and so people are having like get-togethers and things, and I just don't want to go to some of them, and I feel like a little bit of pressure too, but I don't know. Anyway, that's what I responded, so I will be back tomorrow with day 54.